deportation of everyone who, without citizenship, rejoiced at the murder. Kirk, a mass inspection has begun of 55 million non-United States citizens currently on the territory of our country. We're talking about tourists, students, business representatives, and yes, holders of the coveted green card. Everyone who celebrated after the murder of Charlie Kirk. He said that he deserved it. He would add, for example, that he wishes the same thing would happen to Trump. It's a pity they missed him. All of them are facing deportation.
If you're planning to visit the United States soon, our next story is for you. Because Donald Trump's immigration measures have just gotten stricter. The Trump administration has announced that it is reviewing more than 55 million visa holders. That's 55 million people with any type of visa for entry, work, or residence in the United States. American officials are checking their records.
The checks began 3 weeks ago and focused on deception, fraud, and overstaying the permitted period. That is, so to speak, a violation of visa conditions. Now added Charlie Kirk.
Can you guess why? They are looking for potential violations. It could be anything from overstaying a visa to criminal activity or anything that the United States considers a threat to public safety. If any of these signs are found, the visa holder will be deported. This is a serious step and by no means the only one of its kind. Here's the report.
The news came a little earlier than we expected, and now we can report that the Trump administration is screening all 55 million people in the United States with visas for potential violations subject to deportation.
I want to congratulate my former fellow citizens. Here are those who bet on the internet, on social media, and in various chats, leaving enthusiastic comments about the assassination, about the killing of Kirk, and also about the attempt on Trump's life. So, just so you know, nothing disappears from the internet. United States intelligence agencies, especially the system now headed by Tulsi, Hubbard, maybe Gabbard, or maybe Gabbard, to recover absolutely everything that you wrote or said near your smartphone, even if it was turned off. Starting from around 2000, I don't remember exactly, maybe 2003, 2004, or 2005. There were numbers mentioned that from that moment on, basically, they have everything. Everything is recorded. Is that a good thing? No, I'm against it, but in this particular case, I'm just warning you that it exists. If you get deported, we already know one scumbag who, for deceiving the immigration authorities, is being sent back. So basically, they're being deported from our country with no right to return. And for quite a long time, until the end of her life, plus another 25 years. But even if she hadn't been caught committing fraud when entering, she would be in trouble now for fraud. From Lanarsk. To rescue themselves from not weak planning of that, lo, the hypothesis of return begins to be carried out by the Parliament. Volante tried to let go of the ribbons in. He can't do it like that. He can't pretend like that.
Now we will break this down because this is a serious update. Something that has never happened in the history of the United States. The last time there was visa compliance, or you could say double visa checks, was during World War II. Was the last time the United States had, and I'm not talking about Japanese citizens, a large-scale visa check that was partly conducted to impose certain requirements for obtaining citizenship. Regarding the draft to send American soldiers to World War II, Now, when we consider the stated goals of the Trump administration, many Americans, as you know, especially on the right and even in the center, according to polls that have been confirmed from Reuters to Ipsos to Morning Consult, from Fox News to National Broadcasting Company, the centrist position of Americans is that most Americans believe that effective immigration policy requires the mass deportation of those who do not belong here.
By the way, I fully support this idea. In the 1940s, they were looking for traitors and spies. Now they're looking for scoundrels who hate America. Our Constitution, our morals, our principles, either completely misunderstood by them or hated because of understanding or lack of understanding. United States Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau, possibly a relative of academician Landau, by the way, who knows? He stated that foreign nationals who promote hatred and violence will be identified and thrown out of our country. The State Department and the United States Department of the Interior have joined forces to identify everyone. He came here and is actively trying to destroy the American way of life. The Department of the Interior has received orders to identify such foreign nationals who are on United States territory and immediately forward their information to the Immigration Service. This message on EXS has already been seen by 8.1 million users. Thousands of texts, including names, were sent to Landau. Just so it's clear how furious people have become. Those who think that making statements in Armenian, Farsi, or Russian will help them go unnoticed. I have great news for you. Editor. Subtitles by Dima Torzak. Subtitles created 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 by Dima Torzak. So does that mean Obama and Biden didn't even look for it? And Trump, according to him, decided back then not to jail the former president's wife, but now he says he was wrong and that she definitely needs to be jailed. And not just her.
Have you already started revoking visas from foreigners who celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk?
No, we haven't done that. We haven't, but we're looking at the names. We don't like it. It's wrong. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on this side, and we don't do that. These are sick people. They're really abnormal people.
And Secretary of State Marco Rubio made it clear that those who rejoice in political assassinations should not remain in the United States.
In our country, visas should not be issued to people who are planning to come to the United States and do things like celebrate a murder, execution, or assassination attempt on a political figure. We shouldn't, and if they're here, their visa should be revoked. Why should we bring people into our country who will engage in negative and destructive behavior?
Among the first who may experience this new policy could be this woman, Sirena Luciano, an Argentine student at the University of Illinois. She went online and openly celebrated the killing of Charlie Kirk. We are still waiting to see what the consequences of her disgusting act will be. I don't want to repeat out loud the disgusting things she said, but you can go to my website and see her post.
Murder
is not freedom of speech, it's supporting violence. If you hate America, if you rejoice when Americans are killed, maybe America is not the right place for you. The country welcomes those who want to contribute, but those who spread hatred and glorify bloodshed.
And here is the representative of the United States State Department, Sushia.
The State Department says it will revoke the visas of foreigners who, quote, glorify violence after the killing of Charlie Kirk. What is your assessment?
Being in this country on a visa is a privilege, not a right. As a guest, you should act appropriately. If you glorify the killing of Americans, that privilege should be revoked.
Exactly what I told you a little earlier.
Foreigners who celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk online will be denied entry to the United States by order of the deputy. Officials are already reviewing public posts and screenshots to identify individuals who approved of the shooting. Whether you like it or not, your digital footprint has become a filter for your passport. Whether we want it or not, it's happening.
And as for that jerk who was shouting, "Great amazing" in England, let him stay there. And all sorts of words that you can't say on the normal internet, right? So I already showed him to you in my previous video. Why am I showing him again? Because after that, he got scared and made a statement saying that he never celebrated anything at all. See for yourself. It's presented in an interesting way.
It looks like there's a punk rock band called Bob Violet. I've never heard of this clown. He says he's an English punk rock rap duo formed in the United Kingdom. It looks like Marco Rubio canceled these guys' visas to enter the United States. He really canceled it for something he did abroad.
In Amsterdam?
At a show. Do you want to hear it? It's very disturbing. It's just... that's the reason why there's so much violence. And they keep saying there's too much hate. Like many people attack Donald Trump, saying that he's escalating the rhetoric. But you don't see any of these leftists talking about
such clowns.
And then, when you watch this video, pay attention to the audience's reaction in all of these videos. This person is mocking the death of Charlie Kirk, and then in one video that I'll show you, he calls for the death of soldiers. IDF, and the crowd applauds. Guys, we need to gather all the names. We need to get all the names of the people in these crowds, check them through the database, and put every one of these jokers on the terrorist watch list. Let's play this first video.
I want to dedicate this to the next absolute piece of crap of a person, Mr. Menibel Bailey.
Because if you talk nonsense, you'll get banned.
Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece of crap.
He's singing, not rest in peace as in, well, you know, calm down, so to speak, rest and so on, but rest in peace. I understand that it sounds the same to you, but actually it means rest in P, Charlie. It's a bit of a wordplay that Zal really likes. I'm almost sure that neither he nor his audience knows what Charlie did or what he said, but his death, Charlie's death, woke up America.
The crowd in is ecstatic. He is sitting, saying that if you speak a certain language that he doesn't agree with, you'll get hit. Think about it. Think about it. None of us can go on social media and say that we are going to kill someone or that someone deserves to die. That just can't happen, and to allow that to happen, that's not necessary. In America, we have freedom of speech. That's obviously not America, but in America, we have freedom of speech. And hate speech is protected speech, but when you call for the death of another person, that's when you cross the line of free speech. What else do we have, Brad? Here's his explanatory video.
At no point during yesterday's show was the death of Charlie Kirk celebrated like that. I want to dedicate this to the next absolute piece of shit among human beings. At no point did we celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. The pronoun was dust. I really did call him a piece of shit, that's true. But his death was in no way celebrated. The death was celebrated. If that's the case, find me a quote, find something that proves we celebrated his death.
That's how stupid these people are. How many drugs do you have to take to even release such a stupid video? Go on, Brad, continue.
You won't find it because it doesn't exist. Because if you say nasty things, you'll get banned.
What happened was that a reporter who bought a ticket online came with the sole purpose of finding something to report on. And after I called him a piece of shit and we played the song, they wrote it up as a celebration, not a celebration. It wasn't a celebration at all.
Calm down. I want to dedicate the next one.
When they get caught, they say, "Never in my life. What are you even talking about?" Respected and not so respected people. Bykovs, Shendroviches, Feigins, Piantkovskis, Rashkins, Portnikovs, Yakovinas, Zimbalyuks, Kushners, Gordons, Kiselevs, Scheitelmans, Scheitelman. I think, after all, yes. I don't know your status. Most of you are not Americans. Maybe some of you have American passports. But if you are here on a visa, not a citizenship green card, a work visa, any kind of visa, yes, even refugee status, that's it. And it's better if you run on your own. If you came here to run, to travel, and just, as they say, make a quick buck, that's what they call CHOS, as actors, musicians, and others used to say in the Soviet Union, CHOS, meaning quickly back and forth, to make some quick money on CHOS. If you're coming here to us for CHOS, then you'd probably be better off going to Pakistan or Tajikistan or to the People's Republic of China. With the continuation of your tour in North Korea, you'll be received better there, or rather, you'll be received there at all. I wonder, for those who used to hang around Rashkin, there was also a very silly girl there named Karina, yes, Karina Popova. Orlova, probably, yes, something like that. I wonder if she's a citizen. Because if not, then she can go far away from here, back to the land of elephants, back to the land of elephants. How many like that are in Ukraine? Who should be deprived of the right to come here, where the terrible Americans live, who supposedly owe you everything and don't give it, and that's why you rejoice when things go badly for us. I'm glad that haters and enemies of America will start being sent away. It's about time for our own Usher to go. You can have any opinion, ladies and gentlemen. You can have any opinion, but get the hell out of our country. Being our guest is not a right, it's a privilege, and we will gladly take that privilege away from you. Yes, artificial intelligence reads both Ukrainian, Kazakh, and Farsi. So, gentlemen, you won't be able to hide. There. And now, so you feel sick, I apologize. Visually, I hope. Here's today's speech by Rashkin. Sometimes he's called Sashkin, but we won't stoop to that. That's right.
The White House is planning large-scale repressions against liberal groups. Some high-ranking federal officials used Charlie Kirk's podcast, which was hosted today by Vice President J.D. Vance, to lay out their plans. President Trump and his top advisors on Monday threatened to use the powers of the federal government to punish what they consider to be a left-wing network that finances and incites violence. Using Charlie Kirk's killing to make broad and unfounded statements against their political opponents, investigators are still trying to determine the motive behind the death of Kirk, a well-known conservative activist who was shot last week in Utah. Utah Governor and subricant Spencer Cox said that the suspect held so-called left-wing views and acted alone. At first, Spencer Cox didn't mention this, but somehow over time, maybe Trump talked to him, but now he claims that the suspect held left-wing views. What are left-wing views from the perspective of the Marmon state governor? They're so right-wing there that anything slightly different is seen as left-wing, even small deviations? However, he backed the president. Let's figure it out. However, Trump and his closest allies suggested that the suspect was part of a coordinated movement, limited liability company inciting violence against conservatives without providing evidence of such a network's existence. America has faced a wave of violence across the political spectrum, targeting both Democrats and Republicans. Trump, who downplays the scale of violence from the right and other supporters, said he would like to designate a number of groups, including the loosely affiliated group of far-left anti-fascist activists known as Antifa, as domestic terrorists, and to bring racketeering charges against people who fund the protests. Trump said, We have several radical groups, and they've gotten away with murders without naming others. He added that he is in talks with Attorney General Pam Bondi about bringing charges under the law about corrupt organizations and those influenced by racketeering. Some people you've read about who donated millions of dollars to campaigning. He didn't say who or what he meant. By Monday evening, it was unclear how these plans would be implemented and how the White House could legally carry out such efforts without violating the First Amendment. Democrats warned that the White House under Trump might use Kirk's killing as a pretext to persecute political dissent, not just incitement of hatred or violence. Be careful, something dark is coming, wrote Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut on social media on Sunday. The murder of Charlie Kirk might have united Americans to fight against political violence. Instead, Trump and his anti-democratic radicals seem to be preparing a campaign to suppress dissent.
Gentlemen, after everything we already know about what happened, and so to speak, the host of Rashkin Report, or whatever it's called, Yuri Rashkin also knows this, of course. He reads. I hope he reads. And after all the evidence, the facts of the discovered correspondence in Discord, this gentleman is just lying right to our faces. I quote the New York Times and add my own quotes. Maybe, by the way, the article in the New York Times appeared before all this became known. They're the same kind of liars, scoundrels, and bastards there. Absolutely, here you go. Not all of them, maybe some, but I've never met any. So, do you realize that there are idiots who take this as unbiased news? America is generally a country of law and order, at least it used to be, and I hope it will continue to be. Although, of course, there were interruptions both during Obama's administration and especially during Biden's administration. I hope everything will be legal. But how great it would be to kick this mug out of here, to throw it out somewhere. That would be really good. In Venezuela, in North Korea, in Cuba. By the way, this is such a typical propagandist from Castro, right? Any United States citizen has the right to their own opinion and to express it publicly. I'm for that. The problem is that these people want tolerance for themselves, but they don't want tolerance for those who don't share their gangster socialist or, if you like, Komsomol fascist views. They always want to take things away from us and divide them up. Well, like back in the day on the highway, they robbed a carriage, then rushed off somewhere, divided up the loot, sold it, and got drunk in celebration. All right, that's enough. About those scoundrels. That's right. Otherwise, I might even dream about them. So, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again.